Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajavanaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajavanaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Do you usually do the full, pronouns, like Vishnu Mahatma, or do
No, we have
Okay, we just go straight to the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O Lord, with your great personality of God, I offer my acceptable obeisances unto you. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Vyasam Dadochayam Udire. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a rare means of congress, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasdev, the author. Nashtaprayeshu Adveshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishki. By regular attendance in the classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes to the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
So we're reading from the Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, verses 51 to 55.
Yes.
Perfect.
Use the font.
So we'll just read the English for 51, and then we will actually read the Sanskrit and the translation and the purport for 55. Text 51. Lord Ramchandra became king. Lord Ramchandra became king during Treta Yuga, but because of his good government, the age was like Satyuga. Everyone was religious and completely happy. Text 52. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Bharat dynasty, during the reign of Lord Ramchandra, the forests, the rivers, the hills and mountains, the states, the 7 islands, and 7 seas were all favorable in supplying the necessities of life for all living beings. Text 53. When Lord Ram was a saintly king, and everything in his character was good, untinged by qualities like anger, he taught good behavior for everyone, especially for householders, in terms of Varna.
Yes, you can click. Yes.
Okay. Premnanuvritya shilena
Premanuvritya Shilena
Prasraya vanatashati
Prashraya Vanatashati
Hiya hiya cha bhavakya
Viyahiya cha bhavagnya
Bhartu sita haran manaha
Vartu Sita Haranmana
Premnanuvritya shilena
Premnanuvritya Shilena
Prasraya vanatashati
Prashraya Vanatashati
Hiya hiya cha bhavakya
Viyahiya cha bhavagya
Bhartu shita haran manaha
Vartu Sita Haranmana
Premnanuvritya shilena
Premnanuvritya Shilena
Prasraya vanatashati
Prashraya Vanatashati
Hiya hiya cha bhavakya
Viyahiya cha bhavagya
Bhartu shita haran manaha
Vartu Sita Haranmana Premnanuvritya Shilena Prashraya Vanatashati Viyahiya cha bhavagna Vartu Sita Haranmana Premnanuvritya Shilena Prashraya Vanatashati
Viya Hriya Cha Bhavagna
Viya Hiya Cha Bhavagya
Bhartu Sita Haranmana
Bhartu Sita Haranmana
Premnanuvritya Shilena
Premnanuvritya Shilena
Rasaya Vanata Sati
Prashraya Vanata Sati
Viya Hiya Cha Bhavagna
Viya Hriya Cha Bhavagna
Bhartu
Sita
Haranmana
Bhartu Shita
Okay, synonyms. Premna Anuvritya.
Premna Anuvritya
Because of service rendered to the husband with love and faith.
Because of service rendered to the husband with love and faith.
Shilena.
Shilena
By such good character.
by such good character.
Prashraya Avanata.
Prashraya Anvanata
Always very submissive and ready to satisfy the husband.
always very submissive and ready to satisfy the husband.
Sati.
Sati
Chaste.
chaste.
Hiya.
Hiya
By being afraid.
by being afraid.
Riya.
Riya
By shyness.
by shyness.
Cha.
Cha
Also. Bhavagya.
Bhavagya
Understanding the attitude of the husband.
understanding the attitude of the husband.
Bhartu.
Bhartu
Of her husband Lord Ramachandra.
of her husband Lord Ramachandra.
Sita.
Sita
Mother Sita.
Mother Sita.
Aharat.
Aharat
Simply captivated.
simply captivated.
Manaha.
Manaha
The mind.
the mind.
Translation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Mother Sita was very submissive, faithful, shy, and chaste, always understanding the attitude of her husband. Thus, by her character and her love and service, she completely attracted the mind of the Lord. Purport. And go ahead.
As Lord Ramchandra is the ideal husband, Eka Patni Vrata, Mother Sita is the ideal wife. Such a combination makes family life very happy. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tat evetaro janaha. Whatever example a great man sets, common people follow. If the kings, the leaders, and the brahmanas, the teachers, would set forth the examples we receive from Vedic literature, the entire world would be heaven. Indeed, there would be no longer be hellish conditions within this material world. Thus, at the Bhakti purpose of the 9th chapter, 9th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Pastimes of the Supreme Lord Ramchandra.
Okay. Yeah. So interesting purport today. So I would, first of all, I wanted to ask you all this. Who here goes to Sankirtan book distribution, or who has gone? Yeah. Oh, everyone. Perfect. So let's make this a little interactive. What do you say to someone on the street when you're trying to sell them and give them a book or preach to them or do an outreach about Krishna consciousness? Why should they take up Krishna consciousness? What do you say? Yeah, you can say. Let's hear your sales pitch.
My sales pitch is, hey, how are you doing? We got some books on yoga and meditation.
Okay.
I'd like to have a look. Yeah, that's all.
Why should I practice this yoga and meditation?
Helps you get free from stress.
Okay, helps you get free from stress. Anything else that you say why they should practice Krishna consciousness or yoga and meditation? Any other? Yeah.
because it makes you happy.
It makes you happy. Anything else? Oh, I said it. Any other reasons? No. Do you know?
Because it helps you organize your life very nicely.
It helps you organize your life very nicely. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful reasons. So when we offer books, or when we go out to yoga studios or any sort of preaching, we tell them that practice Krishna consciousness because it will make you happy, right? Practice Krishna consciousness because, or join Bhakti Academy because you'll be in a group, community of like-minded devotees, like-minded individuals. Or that it'll help you relieve your mental stress, it'll help you find a peace of calm. right? So in one sense, this is what we sort of get initially, this is a draw to Krishna consciousness or to spiritual life, is that it offers something in return. Happiness, stress-free life, community, way to better your life, make your life more organized. But isn't Krishna consciousness supposed to have no? Is it not to be, or is it to be unconditional or conditional?
Unconditional.
Unconditional. But now I practice Krishna consciousness because of these benefits. So is that conditional or unconditional practice?
Condition.
Conditional. But wait, no. Is practice of Krishna, if the practice of Krishna consciousness is conditional, then are we actually practicing Krishna consciousness? A lot of questions for for a very early Sunday morning after a wild night out on Saturday. It's a lot of questions for Sunday morning. But this is what we'll take today. This is what and I'll bring this back to the verse. So now let me begin by saying that initially practicing Krishna consciousness or practicing bhakti for some sort of results, we have to understand that the results help us develop that initial attraction. But the point of Krishna consciousness, if we really think about it, is it for us to be happy, or is it when we practice it, who are we practicing it for? Krishna, for Krishna's pleasure. And yet, what drives us every morning to get up, besides the rules and regulations and the contracts you all have signed, what pushes us to wake up in the morning, do our sadhana, read and actually go through the list of the practices of Krishna consciousness? Is it really in our mind when we sit down to chant our 16 rounds, do we think, my dear Lord, this is really for you? Is it like, I can't get this done? Right? The ultimate objective of Krishna consciousness, if we look at Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhatya Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I am not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya. So it's Bhatya Leela, chapter 13, text 80, reference. I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya or a Sudra. Nor am I a brahmachari, a householder, a vanaprastha, or a sannyasi. I identify myself only as a servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. He is like an ocean of nectar, and he is the cause of universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with brilliance. The goal of Krishna consciousness, in one sense, is not that we become happy, is that we uncover our true spiritual nature, which is to be the servant, not of Krishna directly, but the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Right? Happiness is a byproduct. Let's not get that. Let's understand. That is for sure. But happiness that's what it is. It's a byproduct. What's the main goal? To actually become aware of our identity as the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Right? Now I want you to imagine this. Imagine if we approached our day-to-day Krishna consciousness with this attitude. Sometimes we may want to take part in the kirtan, we may want to sing, we may want to sing a certain tune, we may be thinking, oh, tomorrow I'll get up, I'll be first word there, so that I'll already have the harmonium out, so that when everyone comes up, we sit next to them, and we'll be like, well, why don't you go ahead and sing? And you're just like, yeah, sure, I'll sing. But then when we get there, someone else has already also had the same plan, except they have gotten there earlier. It does pinch, right? I'm not the only one. for me it used to be the mridanga, right? I would get there and be close to the mridanga, and then if someone says, "Oh, Prabhu, you play," like, oh, okay, I guess I'll play. Right? And that is just small things, but like when we consider other things that happen in the course of Krishna consciousness, sometimes we get blamed for things we didn't even do. So, Prabhu, why are you criticizing me? I had nothing to do with this, right? Or we get disrespected in some way, or we get slighted or offended in some way. Sometimes we do such a important service and we feel like we get no recognition whatsoever. Even the small thank you will suffice, and we get none of that. But then the question I'd like to ask you, is Krishna consciousness really meant for us to obtain all those, that 5 seconds or 5 minutes or 30 minutes of fame, or that 5 minutes of recognition? All of these maybe are emotional needs that we have, but is Krishna consciousness really, is that the goal of Krishna consciousness? Right? The goal of Krishna consciousness is that we solely are doing this for the pleasure of Guru Krishna. So, going back to my initial point, is if we have so many conditions, if we have so many expectations that, because I'm a devotee, because I'm practicing Krishna consciousness, I should be getting this, and this, then is the practice of Krishna consciousness actually it's conditional. And yet bhakti, when we read text, you all have been reading 9 cantos of the Bhagavatam. Is bhakti from any perspective to be considered conditional? No. It's to be considered unconditional. Meaning after everything has been taken out, you still have the intense desire and enthusiasm to show up every day, serve the devotees, serve the Lord. And that's what we learn back today. Of course, let me say that practicing conditional Krishna consciousness is still better than not practicing at all. Because at least practicing conditionally may purify your consciousness to some degree, so that you can eventually open your heart up to the practice of unconditional Krishna consciousness. But that process of going from conditional to unconditional is not passive. It's active. It requires work. So where do we begin? How do we begin this journey from going from unconditional practice of Krishna consciousness, conditional practice of Krishna consciousness to unconditional practice of Krishna consciousness? And that is where I want to bring in today's verse, which spoke about Mother Sita. So in the verse today, the line that struck out to me in the purport is, if the kings, the leaders, and the brahmanas, the teachers, would set forth examples we receive from Vedic literature, the entire world would be heaven indeed. They would no longer be hellish conditions within this material world. That is the last statement in the proof of actually this entire chapter, chapter 10 and canto. So, with that in mind, I was thinking, is there some lessons we can learn from the example set by Mother Sita on how we can move towards unconditional bhakti? And that's what I want to explore today. To understand this, though, the first thing we have to understand is the history of Mother Sita. Where did she come from? What were some examples? And then we'll take 3 examples from her life to really drive down, or to really bring up this point of what it means to have unconditional love for the Lord. So Mother Sita was the eternal consort of Lord Ramchandra. Lord Ramchandra is an incarnation of Vishnu, so he's also considered the supreme personality. He's considered a part of Godhead. And so Mother Sita, accordingly, is also considered an incarnation of Lakshmi, Vishnu's eternal consort. So Mother Sita, she was actually found by Janak, King Janak, her father, while plowing the earth. And because she was, she is Lakshmi herself, she was always from childhood, always surrounded by the finest opulence. Maharaj Janak himself had such an opulent palace, and Mother Sita, being the daughter of King Janak, had every opulence at her fingertips. Literally every opulence at her fingertips. So this is how she's grown up, right? Imagine if for yourself, if you were in that position, from childhood, you had an entire kingdom, not just a palace, but the entire kingdom at your disposal. And then she becomes of marriageable age, and who does she decide? And who is going to be her husband? Her husband is going to be Lord Ram. Lord Ram himself also was a prince at the time, and he is the son of Maharaj Dashrath. Maharaj Dashrath had even a bigger kingdom, even a more opulent kingdom than Maharaj Janak. So Sita is getting married to Lord Ram, and so especially in the Vedic culture, when the daughter is getting married, the daughter's family, the bride's family, is very mindful that the boy or the man that she's getting married to can sustain her materially very well. So King Janak had the expectation that, my daughter is going into the family, is going to marry Lord Ram. She will also be looked after and will be provided the same, even more opulence than she was in this kingdom. And then what happens? Lord Ram is exiled. So the promise of the opulence lasts mainly it's just a flash. And then the day he's supposed to become king, that means Mother Sita is supposed to become queen of the entire palace or the entire kingdom of Maharaj Dashrath. On that day itself, not only Lord Ram, but Mother Sita also gets the news that she is going to live in the forest. Let me break that down for you. Imagine if when you had your orientation for Bhakti Academy, you saw these rooms. Yeah, and you said, okay, this is your bed, you're like, this is great. You show up on day one, you're like, you're sleeping on the floor of the temple hall. I don't know what else to tell you. You're going to get a little basket instead of a cupboard, and you can put whatever you can fit in that basket, that's it. Sleep on the floor. For prasadam, I don't know what to say. If you had come early, you would have seen the prasadam for breakfast. A little nice of it. You see that on the orientation, but on day one, you're given fruits. You're given maybe that, Prabhu, sorry, I don't know what else to say. But you want to be part of the ashram experience, right? So this is excellent ashram experience. Right? I don't know about you, but I'll have to start having second thoughts. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. Right? But Mother Sita, this is happening, but this is magnified, and this is actually happening to her. I hope this didn't happen to anyone else in the room, but this is actually happening to her. And just to give you some context, so when they say that they were exiled to the forest, so Dashrath had his kingdom. They were required to live so far away from the kingdom that no one would actually recognize them. So it's outside of the confines, the authority of Maharaj Dashrath, and later on, Bharat. Nobody can recognize them. They are supposed to go live in an environment that is not only just austere in terms of the resources it provides, but it's actually quite dangerous for them, because it's specifically living amongst people who have enmity, who see the kingdom as their enemy. That is the condition they have to live in. Right? You think Mother Sita ever slept when she was growing up just on bare ground? She was a princess. She had the finest silks and the finest bedding, and now she had to sleep on the ground. Now, when this news is broken, what does Lord Ram do? Lord Ram comes and he's like, my objective is to convince my consort, my wife Sita, to stay here for 14 years so that she doesn't have to suffer like I'm going to suffer. Right? He's made up his mind. He's going to try and convince her. And what does Mother Sita do? She actually tries to convince him. That's like saying, if you come here on the first day, you see this, and then surely enough, me, a PH chapter, like to wear that title, comes and says, Prabhu, it's okay. You know what? I got it sorted. You can actually stay. You can actually stay in one of the rooms. It's totally fine. And you're like, your Sita's response would be analogous to you saying, no, Prabhu. I know you have arranged the room, but I need to stay in the temple floor, eat only fruits. No, I want to do this. I'll go to bed when the lights are shut off, and I'll get up before and get ready before the lights come back on for Mangala. Like, I'm going to do this. I'll just eat on fruits and berries. Please let me do this. I'll suffer through the construction noise and dust. I would love it here, right? Mother Sita does that, and every argument that Lord Ram has for Mother Sita to stay back, she has a counter argument. It gets to the point when Mother Sita starts to rebuke Ram. So rebuke, it's not just arguing, she starts almost to insult him, to say, what kind of husband are you that you're leaving me with this? This is the kind of husband my father gave me away to, that he would just leave his wife. And Lord Ram, you can imagine, he must be thinking, but it's so that you can have good 14 years, you don't have to suffer like me, right? She rebukes him. But Mother Sita still stays. She cries, and she eventually convinces Ram to let her accompany him. So that's the first condition. First condition is, will we still stick by the Lord if all our material benefits from that Krishna provides us are taken away? That's a question for you to think about. Right? Material security was lost for Mother Sita. She's still stuck with Lord Ram. The second thing happens is that if that wasn't already enough, what happens is after 13 or so years of living like this, in intense austerity and hardship, Ravan comes and abducts her. He kidnaps her. And then he shows her Lanka. Now you have to understand, Ayodhya was opulent, but Lanka used to be the kingdom of Kuvera. Kuvera is Ravan's half-brother, and so Ravan sort of stole, or he defeated Kuvera and then took Lanka for himself. Lanka, by the way, as I said, is the kingdom of Kuvera, and Kuvera, his position was he was the treasurer for the demigods. So you can imagine how much opulence and wealth he had. And then he put all of that, he concentrated all of his wealth and opulence into his kingdom called Lanka. And then Ravan took it even steps even higher. So you can imagine how opulent Lanka was. And Ravan comes and he abducts Sita, and he says that all of this is available to you, all of this is yours. I will make you my primary queen. All of this is yours. You take it. Right? Not only is all of this Lanka yours, all of this opulence, but if you don't take me, I'm going to starve you. I'm going to mentally and emotionally torture you 24/7. And then if you still don't agree, I'm going to kill you and actually eat you. Look at the contrast. Mother Sita was living very, she had to give up all her jewelry, all of her dress. all of her garments and everything. Didn't have a kingdom, was literally living in huts, sleeping on the bare floor, having fruits for 13 years. And at the end, you have someone like Ravan offering her all the opulence of Lanka. And not just that, but telling her that if you don't, torturing her, that you accept this. If you don't accept this, then I will continue to torture you and starve you. She hasn't had like a proper, an opulent meal for 13 years. She's just been living on very basic fruits and vegetables. And here, someone is saying that I'm going to continue to starve you unless you accept me as your husband. Right? And what does Sita do? Sita actually, it said, one fun fact is when she was getting abducted by Ravan, she says that I have the potency to destroy you just with my eyes, because Sita was so chaste, just to destroy you with my eyes. But that would mean I would be taking away the pleasure from Lord Ram of killing you. And I want his glories to grow. So I'm going to restrain myself. Right? Sita, she not only says no, but she tolerates all the injustices, all the torture from all the Rakshasis, all the demonesses that Ravan had placed around her, and continues to meditate on Lord Ram. Let's think about this, right? Ravan is offering her a complete 180, a complete polar opposite to what she had been living on. All the opulence returned to her. And Sita, for a second, doesn't even, they sometimes we'll be walking down, you'll see someone playing the mridanga or someone singing, and sometimes a floating thought, just enters, oh, it would be so nice to sing. It would be so nice. Or you'd see a devotee really performing Arti, and a floating thought just enters, oh, must be so nice to do that service for the Lord. A floating thought doesn't even enter Sita's mind about even potentially accepting Ravan's offer. Even in her wildest of dreams, she never even, let alone saying yes, that thought of potentially even entertaining this idea of having this opulence doesn't even enter her consciousness. So this is the second thing. When our personal values are challenged, do we still remain focused on Krishna? Right? If today, by the great, you're all living in the temple, all of this, you may have you come with us. Temple, you have to get up early in the morning, come. You can chill out, you can have your own temple, you can do whatever you want. It's okay, come, we'll get you a king-size bed. All of this will be amazing. And the response, the level of, if you were to take Mother Sita's example, the response would be, the thought, the imagination of what that would look like doesn't even enter your consciousness. I'm telling you right now, as I was narrating this BMW and your own thing, I'm sure some of your minds already went to what that would look like. Right? I know I did. She doesn't even consider that. And then after all of that, she says no, and when her personal values are challenged, she's like, no, I'm going to remain at the lotus feet of the Lord. She waits for an entire year before Lord Ram actually shows up. And then when he shows up, think about this. Yeah? So far, what has she done? She's given up her kingdom and the comforts of Ayodhya to be with Ram for 13 years. And when she got kidnapped by Ravan, who offered her every possible opulence, she said no. It still remained, even in her mind, she didn't even entertain the consideration. She was totally focused on Lord Ram. And then, when Lord Ram finally comes, what is she required to do? Mother Sita was required to prove her purity. She was required that, think about this, she has stayed for 1 year, she has gone through so many trials and tribulations, and now she has to prove herself that she actually did what she said she did. Can you imagine? Like, at that point, anyone else could say, isn't this enough? Haven't you seen how emaciated I am, how thin or skinny I've become? Like, you don't trust my word? Like, I've endured so much for you, and now I have to prove myself to you? What does Sita do? She says, fine. If my purity has been challenged in any way, then let these flames, she enters the fire and she says, let these flames burn me. But if my purity remains intact, then these flames will not even touch me. And she walks through the fire. And of course, she comes on the other side completely unscathed. Okay? But that wasn't the last straw. The last straw comes when, so she's gone through this entire ordeal, proved her innocence. Then the last straw happens later in Ayodhya, when Mother Sita is pregnant with 2 boys, Love and Kush, so Lord Ramchandra's sons. And Lord Ramchandra himself banishes Sita from the kingdom. Why? Because it was socially unacceptable for a married woman to stay in the house or in the kingdom of another man for as long as she did. Sita must just have thought to herself, I've proven myself to you. What else do you need from me? How much more what else do you, can you imagine that the object of your love, the object of your devotion is, after all that you've been through them, and all that you've been through for them, they're the ones who end up banishing you. Not just, again, banishing means they go and live outside of the kingdom. Imagine what that would do to our Krishna consciousness. That after, we get offended when some devotees criticize us or challenge us, and we think to ourselves, or if there's some calamity in our life, we think to ourselves, Krishna, why are you doing this? I'm chanting your holy name, I'm doing stuff, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness, why are you doing this? Imagine, this is just some other, you can say calamities that come into our life just because of the nature of the material world. Imagine if the reason for that calamity, what Krishna says that, no, I'm the reason why you're suffering. It's me, I'm the one who ordered you. You weren't supposed to, but I'm the one who did it. I'll be very honest with you, Prabhus. I don't think I have the substance in me to if that happened in my life, if something like this happened in my life, to continue with the Krishna consciousness. I might become atheist. And not only that, but then I'll tell others to be like, who are you worshipping? I used to worship Lord Krishna or Lord Ram, and this is what they did to me, and they said that I'm the one who put you in this suffering. Why continue to worship them? Let's be honest. You know what Mother Sita does? She raises her boys by herself, and she tells them about the glories of Lord Ram. She actually narrates the entire Ramayana to them. And she talks about the glories of Lord Ram, and she makes them, in one sense, she gives them Krishna consciousness. She gives them God consciousness towards Lord Ram. She makes them devoted to Lord Ram, the very person who banished her. And that's the third one. if for whatever reason, at the end of our life, when we've practiced Krishna consciousness all our life, if the Lord Himself abandons us, are we still going to continue to serve and engage in Krishna consciousness? That is the depth of unconditional love for the Lord. Right? This is pure bhakti personified. So when we talk about Krishna consciousness, it's not just some mix and rounds. It's not just this on the surface. It's something very incredibly deep. Something so deep that even when the Lord Himself abandons us, we will still have so much love for Him that we continue to serve Him. Of course, I want to make it a point that Lord Ram is the personality of Godhead. He is still Bhagavan. He is still God. He is still all powerful, all merciful, all good. And so this pastime here, and it actually happens in the Ramayana when Lord Ram can't bear the pain of separation from Mother Sita, and so he calls for his arrow, and he's going to destroy the entire earth. And Brahma then appears and says, actually, my Lord, this is your plan. Why are you so upset over it? And so there was a deeper reasoning for that, is because Vishnu, at one point, he got cursed by a Brahmin to say that you will have to endure the separation from your wife. And Vishnu, out of respect for that Brahmana, he said, I will honor that curse. And so the way he honored it is in his incarnation as Lord Ram, he was separated from Mother Sita. Through that 1 year when Ravan abducted her, and then later on in Ayodhya, when she was sent to, when she was banished, that was his way of honoring that curse. So, to summarize so far, we've talked about how our Krishna consciousness, at least in our initial stages, is very conditioned. But in order to obtain Krishna, which is the goal of Krishna consciousness, we need to practice bhakti, pure bhakti. Pure bhakti is unconditional. So we need to make this shift from conditional practice to unconditional practice. And we then took the example of Mother Sita and we built 3 points. We said that if our material security is lost, do we still serve her? If our personal honor or personal values are challenged, do we still serve? If we are abandoned by the Lord, the third one is really heavy. Do we still choose to serve with love and devotion? And one of the ways, and now what we are going to do for the last bit, and actually, is it okay if I just mirror my screen?
Yeah, sure.
From here. Screen mirroring doesn't seem to be on.
You will disconnect first and then you can. Now you can.
Okay, give me a second. Still says Mac over here. Anyways, it's not coming up, so I'll just do it. Can I use the board?
Yeah, yes.
So the reason why I just want to write this down is because I came up with some ideas of how we can actually make this practical in our life. So the one thing we can do is we can take inventory of our own devotion. Okay, actually I'll just speak through it and because of time, and then I can share the slides later. So one way we can take inventory is just look at the scenario, so what has happened and our reaction to it. For example, let's say that we've been really involved in our service, we've been really, or we've been spacing out, and as such, our morning practice, starts to suffer, we're not able to give ourselves so much in service. So the immediate reaction is that maybe our morning sadhana or the vigor with which we engage in our Krishna consciousness starts to dip. What that reveals for us is that our bhakti is health contingent. Health, it's conditioned, it's based on our health. The quality of practice is based on our health. Let's say that, and these are just some examples. Let's say we've been really looking forward to lead kirtan or play Mridanga or something, but someone else does it. We may feel hurt, we may want to withdraw. You say that, I was really looking forward to that. Then what that should reveal to us is that it's our bhakti is recognition condition or recognition dependent. We want to be recognized. And if we're recognized, then our bhakti is very strong. If you're not recognized, not so much. Let's say that we were praying for something like a job promotion or something else, and we don't get it. So then our reaction is, does Krishna really care about me? And so at that point, that is really that our bhakti is result dependent, based on the results that we want in our life. That is how good or how well or how enthusiastic we are in our bhakti. And I'll share all these points with you all later on, so that you don't have to take so many notes if you're struggling to write down. Let's say that we get publicly criticized for some service or something that we do. And our immediate reaction is that we get defensive, we become resentful, and we should understand that the bhakti is honor contingent. We want to feel honored, we want to feel respected. And if we don't get that, then our bhakti starts to dwindle. Now these are all the negatives. Let's say every prayer, everything that you're hoping for works out. And the next morning, Prabhu's the japa you do, oh my God, absolutely out of this world. That also reveals something. That reveals that our bhakti is comfort dependent. If we have comfort in our life, our bhakti will be the best. But if we don't, it's going to be a little challenging. So what are some practical steps that we can actively do to help us move from conditional to unconditional? I'm going to I'll give 4 or 5. The first one is that practice radical self-honesty. Radical means extreme self-honesty. Be very honest with ourselves. An example can be, you can have a journal prompt to say that I lose taste in bhakti or in my Krishna consciousness when dash happens. When you start to name what actually causes your bhakti to improve or decrease, you start to understand what your bhakti, what your Krishna consciousness is dependent on, what it's conditional on. Of course, there is Sadhu Sangha or association, Sikh Sadhu Sangha or association. That's really important, so that's number 2. Gravitate or take inspiration from devotees who you see serving unconditionally. Despite what time they went to bed, despite what there is going on in their personal life, they always show up with enthusiasm, with focus, with vigor. One such example for myself was His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami, who would have incredible, such a busy schedule, but yet if you know him, if you saw him on YouTube or any live temple, he would always, without fail, be present for Mangalarti. He could have gone to bed at 2, but he would still be there at. So if Mangalarti is at 4, if you've been on that service, you actually need to be there 3:30 to start doing everything ready. So he would make that happen without fail, right? So that, taking inspiration from them, you're like, wow, I also feel inspired that no matter what is happening, I still want to show up with vigor. The third one is service before spotlight. Ask yourself, which unnoticed service keeps this temple or keeps this institution running? And specifically seek out those services that will not put you in the spotlight. Nobody will ask about it. You don't have to do only those services, but at least have some mix of those. Keshav Maharaj says that there is 3 services a sadhaka should always be engaged in. One service to help them feel nourished, to help them feel inspired. Another service is the service that is needed by the institution or the organization. And the third one is the service that puts us out of our comfort zone. Okay? The fourth tip I came up with is daily prayer. One daily prayer that I came up with was that, "Oh Lord, please engage me in your service for your satisfaction alone, whether or not I taste pleasure today." Just some simple, of course this is mine, but if you can come up with something for yourself, just to really keep on bringing that mood today, that it's not about my pleasure, it's about Krishna's pleasure. And of course the fifth one is you can study and read the scriptures. Read and study the examples like we did here today of Mother Sita. There are other examples in the Ramayana, Lord Hanuman, Lakshman, Bharat, and even the examples of our Vaishnava saints, Prabhupada. Prabhupada was completely unconditional. He suffered heart attacks, still he established ISKCON, and we heard today, we have all the friendships and the relationships in this room because of someone like Prabhupada. Right? So saturate the heart with the templates of unconditional bhakti. So the conclusion for today's talk is as follows. So we covered it in 3 steps. Conditional devotion, conditional spiritual practice is not enough. By definition, bhakti is supposed to be unconditional. In the beginning, conditions help us get attracted to bhakti, the practice of bhakti, but we should actively start seeking how to transition towards unconditional bhakti. And once we start to practice unconditional bhakti, only then do we have a chance of meeting Krishna face to face. One example that we took today of someone who practiced unconditional bhakti, living proof of unconditional love for the Lord, is Mother Sita. She was raised in a royal family, but when Lord Ram got exiled, she happily went with him. She got kidnapped by Ravan. Ravan offered her so many things, but she said, "No, my mind, my heart, everything is towards Lord Ram. I cannot betray him." And even after she rescued, she accepted the fire ordeal and even banishment while continuing to glorify Lord Ram. Her devotion never wavered, it never deviated, despite loss, danger, or even social disgrace. How can we move? How can we start to take these examples into a personal life? Understand, take inventory of your own devotion, see what conditions are there and how they make you feel. And practice, as we said, these 5 things. Honesty, try to seek sadhu sangha, service before spotlight, daily prayers, and reading about personalities who practice unconditional service to the Lord. That will help saturate your heart and at least keep it in the forefront of our mind so that our behavior, our internal mood can start to shift. The one thing I want to leave you all with is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left us with 8 instructions. And the last instruction that he left us with, the Shikshastakam, he says, "Ashlishya va padaratam padaratam pinashtumam adarshanam marmahatam korotu va yatha tatha va vidato lambato mat prananatastu sa eva nataraha." Anyone know the translation? Okay, let's go for it. You know the gist, right?
Yes.
So we'll do the translation. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord. And he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Right? Even if we can recite that prayer every day, and be mindful of what this prayer means for us, that itself can kick off an amazing transition in the bhakti. I'm so sorry I went over time. I hope I was able to communicate something of value to you all today. And of course, I also don't know. My bhakti is extremely conditional. So for my purification, etc., I was able to communicate something. Any questions, or we can wait for breakfast? Okay.
Thank you for the wonderful class. But I have a question from the last point you mentioned that Lord Ram had to banish Mother Sita, but because he was a Vareda Purushottam, but Krishna is Leela Purushottam, and when all the 16,100 princesses were kidnapped, Krishna was the one who got married to them because they were kidnapped. There was no one for them. But Lord Ram had to banish because Mother Sita was kidnapped. What's
Yeah, because they're two different personalities. Krishna is, so Lord Ram, you have to understand, even though he is considered part of Godhead, he's not the supreme personality of Godhead. We always say follow the, we always say so that's one, the two different personalities. Second point is Lord Ram decided to honor Bhrigu Muni's curse. So this was the sage that cursed him. So the story goes that as Vishnu was he's Bhakta Vatsal, he is protector of the devotees. So there was a demon that was terrorizing the devotees, and the demon went and took shelter in Bhrigu Muni's house, and Bhrigu Muni's wife was there. And so Vishnu said that if I let the demon go, then he's going to terrorize more people, more devotees. But the wife said that you can only get to this demon over my dead body. The Vishnu said, if I kill the wife, then because it's Vishnu, she will still gain liberation. So it'll be beneficial for her. And then he's like, when I destroy the demon, it will also be beneficial. So he decided to go in. He had to kill the wife to then kill the demon to protect the devotees. Both of them got liberated. Both of them got spiritual benefit. But Bhrigu Muni was not happy with this act of Vishnu. So then he cursed Vishnu that just as how I'm feeling separation from my wife, you will also have to feel separation. Now Vishnu, he is God. He could have said, what if I don't need to follow your curse, whatever. But he wanted to honor that curse because Bhrigu Muni was a Brahmin. And so to honor that curse, he said that I'm going to separate from my wife. Krishna didn't have anything to do with that. So he was, the other thing is, Krishna as his form could expand himself into 16,108 times. But Lord Ramchandra, as we read today, had taken a vow to only accept one wife. And because he is Maniyada Purushottam, even though he has the opulence of Godhead, he had to almost present it in a very human-like way. So he also couldn't, even if he did marry 16,000, he wouldn't be able to expand himself. Right? Not in that, he would be able to, but not in that incarnation. Actually, there's a funny story that I read somewhere when I was preparing for this talk. So Kansa read about Ravana's activities, that he kidnapped Mother Sita. So when all his demons were destroyed in Vrindavan, Kamsa actually did come to Vrindavan and he tried to kidnap Radharani. And Radharani with just one look, she inflicted some damage to Kamsa. And Kamsa is like, Ravan didn't have to go through that. He kidnapped, he took her away. Why? And so Radharani said that, look, I'm not Sita Thakurani, I'm not Sita, Mother Sita. And Krishna is not Lord Ram. if you step a foot in Vrindavan again, he will end you completely. He will tell you, because Lord Ram was very merciful. He said even at the very last, until the very end, he said, even if Ravan were to come to me and surrender to me and let go of Sita, I will forgive him. Krishna is not like that. Right? Krishna is, he goes in with full force. I hope that gives you the reason why Lord Ram had to go through that, whereas Krishna didn't. Two different personalities, two different moods. Any other questions? Perfect. Mahaprasad ki.
Yeah.